everyone for having me today. I'm excited to share with you some information. I received a call last week about possibly sharing, and I'll share in 2 weeks as well. But just give you a little background on myself. My name is Tracy Brubaker. I'm a general manager of distribution system operations at FirstEnergy. Been married for 31 years to my high school sweetheart. I have 2 children, a 25-year-old daughter that's finishing up her second year of medical school. She also was in STEM. She got a Bachelor of Science in Biology and a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry at Geneva College. And she's still doing her paramedic work to help her through, support herself through med school. And I have a 17-year-old son finishing up his junior year. He is an Eagle Scout and he wants to study electrical engineering. And excited about that. My daughter was never interested in engineering. I tried to get her into electrical engineering and she just did not want that. But she went down the medical route. She's always wanted to be a doctor, so we're excited for that. Just on the agenda, I want to share my STEM story. Talk to you about the Greensburg Distribution Control Center overview. There's a few pictures of it in my presentation. What a distribution system operator does. I am not in that role, but I manage 60 people that are in that role along with supervisors and managers. And I'll talk more about that later. Just some STEM skills needed to do this position in the operations and even, move into other areas of our company. Some teacher support and resources, and then the Q&A. So my STEM story, I got a Bachelor of Science Electrical Engineering a long time ago. I've been in the electric utility industry for 30 years. I spent 2 years as a co-op student for a planning engineer job in West Penn Power. Back after my sophomore year, we did rotations, so it was a great fit for me to realize that I really enjoyed the electric industry, and that's what I wanted to do in my career. I was fortunate enough to get hired on after I graduated, and I've been working for the company ever since. I spent 15 years in various field locations across Western Pennsylvania, the Greensburg, Latrobe, Jeanette, Uniontown, Pleasant Valley, all those areas, Arnold, New Kent areas up near Harmerville. I was responsible for planning, being the planning engineer there. And in that role, I handled the protection equipment on the system, the distribution system, all the lines and poles you see out there. I was responsible for the protection schemes on that, planning for future loads, any new customers coming on. We had to make sure that our facilities could handle it. It was a great job. We did customer service, any recloser complaints, those on-offs that you sometimes get at your house for momentary interruptions. We investigated those. There was a lot of budgets. I was responsible for budgets there in my area. And it was really a really great job and I enjoyed it. I could have retired from it, I always said, but unfortunately there was reorganizations and I got moved to the corporate office in Greensburg. And I spent 3 years in the corporate role as an asset management engineer for the 3 opcos at the time. It used to be Allegheny Power before FirstEnergy purchased us. So West Penn Power, Monongahela Power, and Potomac Edison. That's where I was the role as the asset management engineer. I handled all the programs for reliability, maintenance, the budgets, and I did that for a few years. And then in 2011, the merger occurred where FirstEnergy purchased us. So we became part of the FirstEnergy Company. There's 10 operating companies. And in that merger, I was placed in the Greensburg Distribution Control Center. And in that control center, we had the West Penn Power, Monongahela Power, and Potomac Edison footprint that we were responsible. So we were 3 distribution control centers in one. So I was first an engineer in there. I was promoted to a supervisor role in our engineering services for a year. And I moved to the manager role after that. and I was in the manager role for 2.5 years for the Monongahela Power Control Center. So I handled West Virginia mainly. And then last January, I was promoted to the general manager. So I'm responsible for all 3 areas. So my passion is really distribution operations. It's a 24/7, 365 days, a year and a week. It's nonstop. Your phone rings all the time, evenings, nights, weekends, holidays. But I realized it's just what I enjoy doing. You never know what you're going to be doing. Even on a normal blue sky day, like, today in Western Pennsylvania, it's quiet. There's not a lot of outages going on, but there's always work that we're doing. We're installing new substations and equipment in these. We're modernizing our distribution grid. We're always training our new operators and existing operators. Load flows, contingency plans, circuit traces. There's so much that we do on a daily basis, and you just never know what you're going to be doing. Now, primarily since COVID started in my general manager role, I've been working remotely, but I have been going into the office 3 days a week. I really enjoy working there. The operators, it's a secure location, so not anybody can get into it. You have to have special clearances and backgrounds. We're really pretty isolated, and unfortunately, like the linemen, our employees can't work remotely. So I like to go in there and really talk to them, because their life hasn't changed with COVID, even though almost everybody else's has, because we can work from our home office. And so it's been really good, but as anyone in the operations part, you have to be resilient, you have to be adaptable. And we had certainly all have been challenged with the COVID pandemic and how it's affected all of our lives. Teachers have been affected a lot, doing virtual and, in person and hybrid. And it's been a challenge for everybody. So hopefully now the light's getting brighter at the end of the tunnel and we can get back to a more normal. But the other part of my passion is when it storms. We have all kinds of weather that comes across our footprint, the 3 states. It's very large. So, you may have, just on Mother's Day night, we had the Mon Power footprint have a lot of storm trouble because of thunderstorms that they really weren't predicting. So we had to work with getting, crews out, getting, customers restored. And it's funny because we can predict every Memorial Day there'll be a storm, every Mother's Day, every 4th of July. There's always storms around Thanksgiving and Christmas. So you do have to work storms in this operations, but it is rewarding work. You're out there, the linemen, you're working with the linemen and the substation on getting facilities repaired and fixed and getting people's power back on, because we all use power for everything, and we really need to make sure that we provide reliable power to everybody. And safety is always first and foremost in every industry, and it's very important for us that we are always keeping the public safe and our employees. And we have to work at restoring critical facilities very quickly. We have prioritizations where, hospitals, it's very important that we get those hospitals back on, or, most hospitals have 2 feeds coming into them, plus they have backup generation. It's very important, that we, restore service to them, make sure that they can, take care of patients. And customers are important as well. Getting the customers back on and working through that up until the last customer gets their power restored. So it's very rewarding, and that is honestly, I think, my favorite part of the job in the operations center is just working storms. Now, this presentation, I'm just going to go through with you the distribution control center. This right here is just a picture of our typical workstation right now. It doesn't include all of the monitors that they have. They have another 2 that they deal with, another system. There's a regular system, and then this over here is the radio system to the right. They have to do a lot of different systems in their job, and it gets to be very crazy at times. So this is just showing up at the bottom, this is showing a picture of our distribution control center with actually the lights on. Usually the lights are pretty dim because with all the monitors and the 24/7, the operators prefer to be dark in there. So this is located in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, and we're responsible for the daily operational control of the distribution system across 3 of the 10 operating companies for FirstEnergy, West Penn Power, Mon Power, and Potomac Edison. FirstEnergy also has Jersey Central Power and Light, Metropolitan Edison, Penelec, and Ohio Edison, and CEI, Cleveland, and Toledo. So there's and Penn Power as well. So there's 10 operating companies that make up FirstEnergy. And Greensburg handles 3 of them. And we're the only DCC that has 3 in 1. So that decision was made back when the merger happened to kind of make sure that there was operational benefits for us to all 3 be together. And it's worked well. And in COVID, it's been very challenging because we have separated all 3 of us. We're in the same building, but different locations. So we wanted to do that just in case, there was an instance where we lost multiple operators. We didn't want all 3 opcos to be affected so we could support each other. So it's been definitely a different, the last 14 months, 15 months doing this, but we're getting ready to eventually in the next month or 2 to all come back together since it's becoming safer and the vaccine. So we're looking forward to all getting back together again. So this is just a map showing you, as I said, like Toledo, Edison, the illuminating company, OE. This is, I'm responsible for Mon Power here in West Virginia. Potomac Edison has half of Maryland, half of West Virginia there, and then the West Penn Power footprint. Penelec's actually, okay, yeah, West Penn is here and here too. So this is right around the Greensburg area in there. So if you can see, like we have about 1.5 million customers, give or take a few. Our service area is 28,560 square miles, approximately 864 substations. We probably added a few in the last couple of years since I updated this. There's 1,800 distribution circuits, and there's 60,000 distribution circuit miles. So those are we're responsible for the lines outside your house that is carrying the power down the main streets, not the large transmission that travels from the power stations, but we're doing from, in your home area, we're responsible for that. So there's about 60,000 miles that we are responsible for. And there's always something that happens on them, whether it's car accidents and the squirrels and the trees. So there's never a dull moment. Now this just shows briefly, I wanted to show you kind of what our floor plan looks like. And we had the 3 operating companies, West Penn, Mon Power, and Potomac Edison. And we had support staff that work around here, and my office is right here. We can all be together, but no matter what day it is, we also can change. So if we needed to utilize these desks for Potomac Edison due to a hurricane or an ice storm, we can do that. So each desk can operate any of the 3 operating companies, which is very helpful. Now the problem occurs is when all 3 operating companies are in a large event, because there's limited resources and you can't share the resources. But it works very well. And the operators do work in different areas. Now, the ones that we hired last year are not, they have not worked outside the area they were assigned because of COVID, but over time, they'll experience the other operating companies. They each operate a little different, so there's definitely nuances in each one. You're dealing with 3 separate management structures with president, directors, and general managers that we report to in a dotted line relationship. So that has unique challenges in itself. But we talk to everybody in the field. We talk to meter readers, we talk to substation electricians and distribution techs. There's the linemen and substation electricians are who we talk to mostly in our day-to-day, but we definitely work with a lot of different people in the organization as a whole. So some of the requirements we have is a solid commitment to safety and all aspects of safety. And in the job, we have to monitor the ongoing operations of the electrical distribution system. We do have visibility to some areas, like so we can see if there's an outage that occurs, but most of them, we have to have customers. We're relying on customers to call us and tell us where the problem is and give us information. In our office, we have to assign and direct switching activities and work assignments to the field personnel to operate the electrical system. They're not allowed to operate the electrical system without our permission. That is the way that we are defined to OSHA, is as a system operator, we determine who's qualified to operate the system and give them permission to do so. And if they don't, there's ramifications for that with errors and responsibilities and teaching them. So we also have to respond to outage restoration. So during emergency or abnormal conditions. So we have to be timely and accurate in our actions and the documentation associated with it, because we do have to report out to the public service commissions, the public utility commissions in all of our states that we serve. So they also have to operate multiple computer, radio, and telephone systems in their job. And they have to demonstrate exceptional internal and external customer service and complete training to progress this level. We have a 6-month training program where they have classroom training, and then they mentor with existing operators, and then they have to actually pass 2 assessment tests to be put on the desk to operate themselves. So a lot of the attributes that we require are the ability to stay calm under pressure, manage stressful situations, focus to follow procedures, attention to detail is very important, and the ability to successfully multitask. And what we mean by that is just taking something and they may have to stop what they're doing and then pick it right back up because the phone's ringing, the radio's going off, and it is very chaotic and hectic during high stress and high storm situations. So you have to have strong verbal and written communication skills, and also have to be able to coordinate and direct actions within a group, because you're going to be directing actions for a line person, substation electrician, anybody that is working in the field. You're going to be, and also we have a transmission office that we have to coordinate with. So we can coordinate with them on any things that we're connected with them on the transition office, because it's all connected, the transmission distribution. You need to have leadership qualities, self-direction. You know, they have to have initiative, confidence, and it's very important to have problem solving. So that's where, you know, the math and the science comes in, and some of the requirements we have for this position. So I'll just go briefly over, you know, we have a job where you're going to turn over your responsibility. It's shift turnover. You're going to tell the person that's relieving you what's going on. It may be nothing, or it may be a lot of different outages or storm situation. You have to be prepared for scheduled work. switching out the lines and equipment, direct the crews to complete this. And then we're always monitoring the systems, voltages, contingencies, and we have to react to the events that occur on our system. And also, as I said, coordinate with our transmission office in West Virginia. And then we direct our resources to isolate the trouble and restore customers. And then we'll switch lines back in service and equipment. And then at the end of their shift, they go home and, you know, the next person takes over. So there's always someone there 24/7. So there is benefits to this position. You know, there's flexible work schedule. You know, they work 23 days in 6 weeks versus 30. Now they have 12-hour shifts. They do have to work weekends and nights. It's very highly competitive pay. It's really highly critical work that can vary day to day. You know, you're provided a sense of doing something important. And also there's advanced technology that we use. And FirstEnergy is investing in a new automated distribution management system. So next May, we're going to be implementing a new outage management system that's going to be completely new for all the 10 operating companies. And we're going to start training that later in this year. So that's going to be really new for the operators, because for the last 10 years, when FirstEnergy, we've been operating our system and it's changing. So that's going to be exciting to do, and it's going to have capabilities that we don't have presently in our existing system. So I just put this in here. You know, it's a Fortune 200 company. It's a challenging, rewarding STEM career. You know, it fosters the work environment, fosters the innovation, leadership, accountability, and integrity. And FirstEnergy is committed to getting a diversified workforce. There are things that we've recently implemented in place to increase the diversity in our company. And a lot of that starts at really getting at the middle school and the high school levels, getting diverse candidates, minorities and ethnically diverse and females interested in STEM. And that's where we really have a focused effort on doing that in the next few years. So just some of the STEM skills needed for this position and other positions in FirstEnergy. This position only requires a minimum of an associate degree, but we prefer electrical and electromechanical engineering and even technology degrees. 4-year bachelor's in technology degrees, FirstEnergy doesn't recognize that as an engineering degree, but if you get your professional engineering license, you can be an engineer in that. And we also, coming into our department, there's not a lot of external hiring going on except our department. So a lot of people come into our department, stay for a few years, and then get experience and then go into other areas of our company. Military experience is very helpful, but you have to be able to work long hours and stay calm under pressure. And you know, having an electrical engineering background, it helps solve complex problems. You experience things not on a regular basis, but there are days when we have, you know, we lose entire substations, and we have to be able to get the customers restored. Sometimes it means bringing in a mobile substation, getting that set up, and really providing, you know, reliable service. So I just put this in here as a kind of a funny picture on, you know, from science. What we use in our office is the, you know, when we're interviewing people as potential candidates, we ask them about what's megawatts and megavars, and really not very many people know what it is, and power factor. So we use this to show them, you know, you have your true power, which is your megawatts, and then your reactive power is megavar, which is, you know, imaginary power. But then what you really need is the MVA. So with the wheelbarrow, you can see pulling it forward, that gives you their MVA, and then you have your reactive power and then your true power here. But this is the one we usually show everybody, is kind of to help them understand with beer. It seems to work well. You have the real power, which is the actual beer, and then the top is the reactive power. It's wasted electricity in this analogy, but you need the foam on top because the beer wouldn't be very good. So this just shows the kilowatts, the kilovar, and then the kVA. Because we asked that question in the interview, and it's not one people get, but I thought I'd share it in the presentation here. So some of the teacher support and resources available is, I would say, encourage your students to take advanced math and science courses in high school. You know, one of the best things for me that I did was taking calculus in high school. That helped me prepare for calculus in college. And I really helped have that strong foundation. And it really helped me excel at the calculuses for the engineering program. I initially was going to do chemical engineering and decided that I hated organic chemistry. So I went into the electrical because of the math and science that I really enjoyed. And it really has been a great choice for me. You know, share information for your students about the importance of the electrical utilities. There's a lot of opportunities, exciting things coming up with electric vehicles. The smart grid that we're adding on to the system, we're really getting our system more and more up to date. You know, reach out to your local utilities for career day presentations. I've done several in my career. And also we have a FirstEnergy Ambassador Network that we started last year, and we're really kicking off. We're working with colleges first, but we really want to start working with middle school and high school students across, you know, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia, and New Jersey, and share our vision with these younger students to encourage them to go into the STEM field. And really, you can have a great opportunity and a great life by doing this. So I also just wanted to take a few minutes and say, you know, thank you for all you do as teachers. I know that it is a difficult job, and there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes every day as a teacher. So I really just wanted to say thank you. My contact information is here. Please feel free to reach out to me. And I also have contacts in Virginia, because we did own actually had facilities in Winchester, Virginia prior to the merger. So I do have a few contacts in Virginia if you're interested, but I also have contacts across all of, you know, West Virginia, Ohio, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. Kim, that's all I had to share. So if there's any questions, let me know.
Oh, we do have questions.
Okay.
Actually, I also had questions, but you did actually do a great job. You already answered them. So we've got a series of questions about just employees at FirstEnergy. Okay. How many employees do you guys have?
We presently have about 13,000 employees. There's probably about 7,000 of them that are line employees and substation employees, and a large transmission organization. I don't know the exact number. And there's lots of engineer jobs in the transmission, and then the distribution system. There's probably, I know there's probably 1,600 in my 3 opcos. So there's a good bit of those employees across the company.
And then just because the teacher from West Virginia asked this, what about do you know how many employees are at Mon Energy?
Mon Power. I believe there's about 382 total employees in Mon Power. That's the operating company, and there are people at the power station too. So I'm not sure how many of those. That's like a separate business that they keep us separated.
Okay. Which jobs have the highest demand? Like what jobs are you struggling to fill?
The distribution system operator is the job that's the struggle. We hire constantly. We have never been able to stay fully staffed, because by the time we get people trained, we have people advancing either promotions or deciding they want to go into a normal job. Because like I said, it is shift work that's very demanding, and there's really, but it's the place you can get into the company. So it is good that people come in here, you learn a lot because you learn the whole system. and then you're really very beneficial to other areas of the company. So this is the one that we're always hiring. Every year we're hiring 8. We hired 9 people last year, right before COVID hit, thankfully, and got them on property. So now we're already down 3 people. It's just, so we're trying to hire another class of 8 right now. So my managers and I are doing that. So it's constant demand. It's a great job. They make over $100,000 the first year. It's if their first full year. So it is a very good job.
Oh, that's awesome. And then what, I guess, like, what's your primary source of energy?
We have different, we have nuclear and we have coal. We have a little bit of hydro and wind. We're also investing in more of the green energy. We're starting to do that. So that's a commitment that our leadership has made to have a more, environmentally friendly one. So that's but mostly the issue is coal is very reliable. And there are things that we can do and we have done to reduce the pollution. But for base load, coal is a really good source of generation.
Yeah, because it's, you can you just keep earning it.
Yep.
And I know, it's certainly something I've heard with, other, about renewable power is like, you're generating it, but it's not particularly efficient to store. And we just don't have the capacity or the, we don't have the storage facility. We don't have because we just need giant batteries.
Right. We've not really advanced that technology in the last, 28 years. We talked about that when I first started, looking at battery storage, and that's a problem. You really can't store large amounts of electricity. And that's what, with the wind, it's not always windy. So if the windmills aren't turning, you don't necessarily generate the electricity that you need to support the load.
Yeah. And then, so just there's someone's curious here. How's work-life balance? You mentioned the shift work, but sort of they have policies that help people kind of actually do this kind of shift work, but also, have a family that they actually interact with.
Yeah, it's tough in the DSO roles. We've added a lot more flexibility in there. We gave them the ability this year to do their training week at home. So that's been really good. So they can spend the whole week at home and do their training remotely, because the majority of our company is working remotely. And that was one of the biggest things I've heard. Well, we don't have that option. So we've given them that option. We give them a lot of flexibility in trading so they can get large blocks of time off with using minimal vacation. We are happy to, we do things to help with the work-life balance. And if we have enough people, then, they don't have to work as much planned overtime to fill the shifts. So if we can stay ahead of that, then that's a work-life balance. And there are benefits, like they get a few days off during the week. So working that longer shifts, you have less days in the office than we would as, working 5 8s or 5 10s. But it is challenging during storms, and we expect them to come help when we need them, because if we didn't have anybody there, we wouldn't be able to get people's power back on. But we really try, and I think that as we continue to evolve, we'll be able to do more and more to give them that work-life balance, but it is challenging at times.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just, we have to do it 24/7. It's just a lot.
Yes.
So let me see if there is, and then I have one more question and we can get to Colin. You mentioned, so you have this electrical engineering background. And you mentioned the math skills, but I guess, what have you found to be kind of when we think about traditional STEM skills, what has been the most transferable skills that you got from electrical engineering?
Honestly, the math and the, calculus and some of the more complex math. Now, a lot of that stuff is done by programs for us now, but to be able to understand that and really the problem solving skills has really helped me have an understanding for, loading of equipment. You can't overload equipment too much. So you have to make sure that you have the capacity, really, current, voltage, and amps, resistance, and voltage is the things I deal with most of the time, and capacitance. So That's really the STEM things. And I think that's why I went into electrical, because it was a little bit more math, math and science based, as opposed to the chemistry or the mechanical engineering. There's, and the civil, of course, building things, but we don't use too many civil engineers in our industry.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I've
actually,
and I have to say this, we were talking about this earlier. I have heard at this point, I've been here for 4 years, like hundreds of presentations. And this is the first sort of like power distribution type presentation I've heard. So
good.
I was honest, I'm excited from my end.
Good. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.